I wanted to understand more deeply about exporting from India. And one category where India has a lot of experience is garments. We export to brands around the world like Zara, Ralph Lauren, Marks and Spencer, and you name it. So to get an insider's view on how this is done, I visited my friend Bharat, who has been in this business for the past 2 decades. Hi Bharat.
Hi Sarthak, how are you doing?
Very well, nice to meet you again. He runs Wearwell, which has over 2,000 workers, specializing in designing and manufacturing of kids and women's fashion.
We do a lot of kids wear. So we need to ensure that all the garments are metal detected, because if while sewing a garment, if a needle breaks and it gets trapped inside a garment and we ship it with the needle and a child wears it, it could harm the child, it could be fatal for a child.
Correct. Today, we want to break down how does one find international buyers to sell to? What is the product differentiator in India that helps Bharat and his competitors secure orders? What kind of investment does it take to go to international exhibitions? What are order costings and margins? And where really lies the opportunity for one to build a business in exporting garments from India? This is Founder's Office with Sarthak Ahuja. So Bharat, what we want to learn from you today is that there are a lot of people in India who now want to export. And one of the biggest challenges is how do we find customers outside of India? The idea here is to understand that anyone who's actually making garments from India for the world, how do you differentiate from what is happening in other parts of the world? So what is the specialization that you guys build here so that foreign buyers keep coming to you guys to say, what happens here in India happens better than what you'll get anywhere else in the world.
Right.
Second, if someone had to start today, one, would you recommend that this industry continues to be something which still has enough for more people to come in? Or if not, maybe we could take other insights from your experience which people can replicate into other industries. How to find buyers, how to pitch to them, how to develop their product, and how to look at operations. So yes, wherever you would want to begin.
So I'll begin by saying that, to solve an unsolved problem. I think when I started the business, we realized that there were not so many children manufacturers because firstly the margins were much lower compared to women, because parents don't want to spend a lot of money on children's clothes because kids constantly outgrow their clothes.
Correct.
And also because of the safety aspect, right? Because if a child swallows even a button, it can be fatal, right? Or small babies tend to lick their clothes, and if the color is coming off, then they would be ingesting all the dyes and chemicals. Yeah. So the level of health and safety requirements they're very, very stringent on kids wear. So we saw that as an opportunity. So my suggestion to anybody who would want to get into exports, whether it's toys, whether it's garments, or whatever it is, you need to solve an unsolved problem. You need to find your niche, and then you diversify into different products. Like we started off with baby and toddler and and older girls, and then we diversified into teen category, and then into women's wear.
So would you say from an opportunity perspective, it makes sense even if someone today sets up a tiny workshop or a tiny factory, but they specialize in very unique Indian designs which are not known by the masses? As the design language is slowly going away from, say, minimalistic design to more maximalistic, if they can just bring in those elements in their design and pitch to, say, like an Inditex, a Zara, a Marks and Spencer.
It would be difficult for someone just starting off to pitch to an Inditex or a Marks and Spencer or a Next. It's not easy to break through with a brand. It can take years. I mean, I remember when I started off as well, I approached one of these big retailers and they said that, sorry, you're too small for us. Come to us when you have 1,000 tailors. So if somebody starting off, I would advise that you start off by doing exhibitions. And when you are small, then be prepared that you're going to get smaller brands that are going to start with you initially, where the quantities would be low. But that should not discourage you. That's how even I started. I started with hardly 50, 100 pieces, when I started. I did exhibitions all across the world. I kind of, got exposure and kind of put my company out there. And we started with very, very small boutiques, doing very, very small quantities. And then you kind of build yourself up from there. You build a
build your
credibility,
portfolio
and you learn as you grow bigger. And then with word of mouth, if you do a good job, then people in our industry is small. People keep moving from one brand to another, and if they've had a good experience with you, they'll refer you to the next brand that they go to, and that's how you get a lot of the brands that you work with is just for referrals.
So the
by word of mouth.
merchandisers moving in.
The designers are moving, the buyers are moving, the merchandisers
Have you
are
gotten
moving.
business because of that?
Most of the business is all based on your credibility and word of mouth.
So about 5 to 10 lakhs per exhibition is what one could budget as a as a decent spend, which would include the rentals for plus other expenses for you to take your stuff.
Yes, I would probably say less than 10 lakhs. I would say between 5 and 10.
Yeah,
you could be able to pull it off.
got it.
Yeah.
And any other channels which have opened up today? Do you feel there are other ways apart from referrals and exhibitions that people are getting international clients? Maybe it hasn't worked for you or you haven't tried, but have you heard of other ways?
LinkedIn is a good way as well.
Okay.
You can find out information of brands and important people who work in those brands through LinkedIn, and you could be on a lookout as to what gaps they might have in their supply chains.
And if you had to meet someone at one of these brands, what title would you go after? Would you say there is a chief merchandiser? Is there like a category manager that you typically have on e-commerce platforms? What title would you go after?
I would say you need to go after the sourcing teams. They are the ones who are strategizing as to how many vendors do they need in India, how many vendors do they need in Bangladesh, do they have enough vendors, do they have less vendors. So it all starts with the sourcing teams.
Okay. So is there a story around how you bagged one of your first big clients where there could be a learning?
Oh yeah. I think it was Zara actually.
Okay.
When initially we started working with Zara, packed up our suitcases and we went to Spain to La Coruña where the head office is, and we had taken our women's wear collection for a women's wear meeting. They gave us one of the meeting rooms and the women's wear team came into the meeting room and we had displayed all our women's wear samples. And I think within 10-15 minutes the meeting was over. I guess they were not looking for a women's wear supplier, but somehow we were lucky to get an appointment with them. And then, I requested them. I was like, we've come from very far. Even though you've only picked 1 or 2 samples, I know it's going to be difficult for us to work with you. But in case your kids wear team is around and they are looking for a supplier, we don't mind showing them the women's samples. And then if they like something, we can take inspiration and we can do mini versions of those. And then, they went and checked. And luckily for us, the kids wear team was looking for a supplier. And the kids wear team came and they saw the collection. They made a bid selection. And that's how we started with Zara. We started with Zara Kids. And that was the day we realized that there was a big void in kids wear suppliers.
Understood. So today, if one were to map out, say, specializations across geographies, what would you say does a Bangladesh specialize in versus Thailand, Cambodia, India versus China versus Turkey, who are the newer players coming in? And I say this because even if someone has to do a study of maybe this is new or this is not happening in India, I could think of going after it and doing it better than what someone else is doing.
So Bangladesh, essentially, the customers, they tend to put all their tech packs, because there's not a lot of creativity that comes out of Bangladesh in terms of design. So with tech pack,
you mean the
buyers'
brand is
own
giving...
designs, buyers' own designs that they would like to, put in with the vendor.
So say like a Zara would say, this is our specification, our design.
Yes.
And we need someone to just replicate
high
this.
volume, low cost.
Okay.
Tech pack business, I would say that is what goes to Bangladesh.
Okay.
Right? China, they specialize in, China's huge, right? They are the biggest exporter of garments in the world. So, but they specialize in outerwear. Jackets,
down.
All kinds of jackets they do. That's what they specialize in. I would say Turkey specializes in fast fashion because of their proximity to Europe. Similarly with Morocco as well and Portugal as well. So these are all manufacturing hubs.
Okay.
But India's strength is that we are vertically integrated. So we grow our own cotton, we do our own spinning, we have our own dyeing, processing, printing, we have our own garment manufacturing. So everything is available in India. Countries like Bangladesh and Vietnam and Cambodia, 90% of the raw material is imported in from either India or China. You see, so that really gives India strength.
So what I'm also hearing is that if, say, an international buyer, for the sake of an example, let's take Zara.
Yeah.
If they were looking for vendors globally, they would come to India not necessarily for the cost advantage. They would come here for designs
Design, correct.
that contract manufacturers here come up with, and if they like someone's designs a lot, they'd say, why don't you make it for us?
Yes.
Or they could go to a Turkey. So would you say Turkey today is one of the closest competitors for India compared to maybe a Bangladesh?
Yes, but the handwriting is different. Like
Okay.
India specializes more in, I would say, embroideries, different techniques, handwork, printing, and I would say more like lightweight fabrics.
Okay.
I would say, Turkey product, is a more jersey product. I would say, but fashion jersey they do, and they also do a lot of similar products of what we do. But the level of embellishment is not as much because again, labor in Turkey is expensive, right? So they would probably do, more automated embellishment, where India will do more hand embellishment.
Got it.
You see, so the product would look different. So the buyers normally they come to India for that typical, Indian handwriting, which is India's strength that nobody can really replicate.
And do you also see a lot of native Indian designs now translating into fashion and apparel in such a way that
Yes.
the world is liking, like something which is traditionally very Indian
Yes.
now has become like an international feature?
Yes, like block printing or your chicken curry embroidery.
Really?
Yeah, I mean.
So chicken curry, apart from your kurtas, are you
Yes,
replicating it in
yes,
some other form?
Yes, of course. Yeah, we're doing RE embroideries, and I believe now going into spring summer 2026, the Indian look is going to be very much in fashion.
Really?
You must have seen the Kolhapuri jutis that Prada
Yeah,
is doing.
absolutely.
So it's everybody's talking about India, and that's great news for India because that means a lot of business is going to come into India.
So how many designs in a year do you have to manufacture?
So I think last year we would have manufactured over 1,000 designs. That's
wow,
like
It's almost like 3 a day.
3 a day, yeah. And see, that's why I say it's a very difficult business because every design is different. It's not like an industry where you're making the same thing over and over again.
So how big would your design team be to deliver, say, 1,000 designs in a year? Do you think a team of 5 to 7 people can do this?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's
Absolutely. So we work a lot on, CADs as well. So we do 2D CADs, we do 3D CADs. We're using even AI now to help us with our designing. So I'm quite involved in the whole design process. Whenever I travel, I visit a lot of stores, that brands that I look up to. I always go and see what new things they're doing, what new fabrics they're doing. I encourage my design teams to travel. We go to China on sourcing trips, where we go to the markets in Guangzhou or the markets in Shaoxing, and we source a lot of our sampling fabrics from there.
okay. So a lot of the fabric is imported. How much would you say is imported?
In terms of winter fabrics, we import a lot of fabrics from China because India essentially is more
Cotton.
spring, summer. We do viscose as well, we do some polyesters as well. But I would say they're more lightweight fabrics. A lot of the heavier weight fabrics, a lot of the occasion wear fabrics, party fabrics, bling fabrics, all of that
from China.
come from China because their quality is better when it comes to those fabrics. India is very strong in cotton. Chinese cotton is banned because of the Xinjiang province.
Correct.
So world does not want Chinese cotton.
Correct.
So that's why automatically because of that a lot of cotton business comes to India. So every region specializes in certain types of garments, certain types of fabrics. But what is essential for us as a factory owner, as a garment manufacturer, is that we keep our factories busy around the year. So for that, if I need to import fabric from China and that keeps my factory busy in the winter months, then so be it. I'm providing my workers employment, we are giving work, and we are running our company.
So have you seen India benefit from the China plus one, or do you feel in your industry it's more a narrative and people continue to buy from China because India just doesn't have the specialization to deliver what those people are delivering?
No, definitely. I think China plus one factor has helped India.
Yeah, you hear your buyers saying we want to kind of
Yes.
diversify.
I've added a few brands over the years who had a lot of exposure in China, who wanted to reduce their exposure in China, and because of which they started working with us. But at the end of the day, it's all performance based, right? I mean, if you'll get an opportunity, but you have to deliver. If you don't deliver, then they'll move on to the next.
But you feel in the minds of, say, the consumer, I would assume a lot of your buyers would be, say, European brands. Do you feel in Europe people would look down upon a made in China product, the end consumer, and does that in any way impact the pricing that these brands can command?
No. You see, the China plus one factor is not because people look down on Chinese product. Chinese product is great.
Correct.
It is the risk which is attached to it. You see what is happening now with the tariffs. Trump has suddenly raised tariffs. So if you had too much exposure in China, suddenly, you are having to pay a higher duty, right? And because China is such a big exporter to the world, then most of the brands, had too much exposure. Maybe 90% of the sourcing was coming from China. So they were in a very vulnerable position because of uncertainty that is going on in the world today. So China plus one is ready to kind of, reduce their risk and diversify their supply
So
base.
it's more geopolitical. You're saying it's not from a consumer lens that
No.
they're looking down upon a particular
Chinese
market in
product
any way.
Quality is great. The product is great.
Okay. And what's your process immediately after you get a customer? How many designs would you have to show to them for it to be a profitable venture? Like, does it so happen that a customer has to pick at least 6 or 7 designs and give a certain amount of order where it'll turn out to be a good partnership that goes along? And I'm bringing this question from the fact when you mentioned Zara liked only 2 of your designs and you knew that this is too little for it to be meaningful in any way.
Right, so you got to look at your hit rate, right? So normally a good hit rate, I would say, would be maybe 50%, right? So if you sample 10 and 5 get selected, that's a good hit rate.
No, that's huge.
Yeah, so 40 to 50%, I would say. So I mean, if you only have 2 or 3 garments selected, so your hit rate, you only get 1 order, right? Whereas compared to if you have 20 or 30 garments selected. So that's also another way how we evaluate the brands that we work with. How much have we sampled and how many orders have we received? What is the hit rate? Is the hit rate low? That is a concern for us. We have a discussion with the brands about that, and then strategically we decide whether it's worth investing and working with that brand or not.
And how does the economics work? Typically, do brands tell you that this is the price at which we will be selling it? And I can see it from the fact that you guys attach labels which have pricing labels for the brand. So if imagine their end price to the customer is 100, do they give you a target costing within which you need to produce?
Of course. So price firstly all depends on the quantity. So the larger the quantity, the tighter your margins are going to be, right? And the smaller the quantity, the higher your margin is going to be. So it all depends on quantity.
Sure.
And then we have basic fabric minimums that we need to meet. We have dyeing printing minimums. We have, so if you're not able to meet the fabric minimums in terms of the grade or in terms of the processed fabric, then you have to pay a surcharge to the mill.
What is this?
So basically when you buy a fabric, right, like let's say you buy a cotton fabric, and for a solid fabric, your MOQ, minimum order quantity is 2000 meters, right? But if the buyer comes back and says that my order is only 1000 meters, so you can still do that order, but you will charge a surcharge, which you have to pay to the fabric supplier.
Just to be able to stock.
Just to be able to get 1000 meters.
Correct.
Even though his MOQ is 2000, you're getting only 1000 meters. So you'll have to pay a surcharge to the supplier. And then you have to factor it into your costings and charge your customer for it.
Sure.
Right?
So from a benchmark perspective, typically what kind of cost are they expecting from you given the price point for the end customer? Do they always give the price point for the end customer? And then seek quotations from different factories saying,
yes,
this is the order size, this is the price, this is the sample. what is the best quotation that you can give, and do you see factories undercutting each other and
So
to get an
normally,
order?
normally depending on the brands, whatever they buy from you, they sell, I would say between 3 to 4 times or
So,
3 to 5
you're
times.
essentially at 20 to 30% of their selling prices where you need to function.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And then that also would depend then on the quantity. The larger the quantity, the even slimmer your
Of course.
margins get. So we are constantly looking at what the customers are doing, like for like products, how much are they retailing for, and then calculating based on that what should be the price that we should be quoting them. And then we have our open costings also. We first work out from scratch what is the actual cost of the garment, right? And then we see what they are retailing at, what should be their target, and then we always give options. So the first sample might turn out to be more expensive,
Correct.
and then we have to find out ways
To get larger orders
to kind
that
of fit it into
optimizes
their
the
price.
cost. Understood.
You know, so like let's say you do a dress with embroidery front and back. If the price is coming too high, you go back to the customer and say, okay, I'll give you embroidery only in the front. I won't give you at the back. So we are able to reduce the price and kind of fit it into your target.
Got it.
You know, so normally we quote the first price, then the buyer comes back with the target, and then you do the reworking to see how you're going to be able to fit the garment into that price and confirm the order. Because at the end of the day, we are doing all the sampling and doing all the creative work that has to, it has to convert into orders eventually. Right? There's no point making a beautiful sample if you can't confirm an order on it. So you have to keep the price points also in mind while designing. A lot of the times, the designers, they get lost in the creativity and they make something beautiful, but you're not able to get it costed in the price.
Yeah, so it's not feasible.
So it's not, you have to have a practical approach.
Okay.
So,
So imagine if one were to go and buy like an occasion wear dress for about 5,000 rupees in the market, essentially the costing at which you are required to sell to the brand is close to about 1,000. Realistically,
depending on the brand,
but you would say
on
between 1,000 to 1,500 would be the right range.
Yeah, approximately about 1,500 bucks, I would say. Yeah.
Okay, so anything that sells for 5,000 is 1,500 at which you need to sell.
Essentially, that's how the industry
That's how
works.
the math works.
3 to 4 times, because end of the day, they are importing the goods, they are paying freight, they are paying duties into their countries. They have overheads in terms of their stores,
warehousing,
staff salaries, and then also initially when they put the goods into the stores, they sell at the full price, and then whatever doesn't sell through,
Correct. They have to do a
in a few weeks they sell on a discount, and then so on. So first they'll drop 20%, then they'll drop 40%, and so to be able to liquidate all the stock. So they have that risk factor as well. So 3 to 4 times is probably what is usually what they work on. Yeah.
Got it. And imagine now you're producing something that sells for 100. You produce in about, for the sake of simplicity, 25, thinking that the customer sells it at 4x the price at which they buy from you. And if 25 is the price that you get, typically what is the cost breakup like for you from a percentage perspective? How much? And I would just say industry margin, would you say 30% is cost of fabric, 20% is labor,
yes.
20% is overheads?
So you're right, 30% is about approximately the cost of the fabric. Women's wear could be higher, it could be even 50%. Kids wear is roughly about 30%. Manufacturing cost is roughly about 30%. Again, your accessories like your buttons, zippers, labels, tags, all that would be about 10%. And then we work normally, I would say, between 10 to 15% margin.
Oh, so the gross margin for you is about 15%?
10 to 50%, yeah.
So which means after you remove overheads and stuff, the margins should be single digit?
Yes, like I said, it's a very, very competitive business. I like to say that I'm overworked and underpaid.
Yeah.
So
which also means when you're doing this much capital investment in setting up manufacturing, you really need massive quantities to recoup.
Exactly. That is why.
For anyone today, it's a very tough business. They're better off doing something else for their time, would you say?
It's a lot of hard work, and especially if you are. I mean, I don't mean to discourage people who who would want to get into the garment business, but it is a very, very competitive business. With margins are razor thin. There's no room for error, and then you have to be very, very careful because there's so much uncertainty in the world. Every other day you hear of certain brands which are going bust.
Correct.
And then as suppliers, we are not secured if somebody goes under, and because mostly we are working on relationships, and our payments are not back to the LCs, mostly. So you got to be very, very careful who you work with. You always check their financials. Dun & Bradstreet is a good way of checking the company financials. Constantly.
Do you guys track that?
Yeah, we track that. Yeah,
because there's working capital stuck in payments and stuff.
Because we have paid a heavy price in the past.
You have?
Where one of the brands did go under, and we had a huge exposure with that brand. I don't want to name anyone, but
no, I understand.
But you learn the hard way. In life, you learn the hard way. So my advice would be to constantly check the financials of your customers, see how they're doing, and then trade accordingly.
So also I understand you would be, imagine you get an order for 1,000 units. You would produce maybe 3 to 5% extra just to account for.
Normally it's 2% extra to
2%
account for rejection, or So normally our customers also most of them allow us to ship extra as well.
Okay.
So they give us a 5% tolerance. You can ship +5 or -5.
But that comes to your cost, so you have to be extra cautious about how much.
No, you can. If you ship extra, they pay you for extra.
Oh, they pay you
as long
for
as
extra?
within the 5%.
Okay.
If you have to ship 7% extra, then you have to take approval. But within that ±5, they give you a free hand.
So it's to account for if in case there are rejections.
Yeah. So normally, if this quantity is 1,000 pieces, we will cut 1,050 and maybe ship 1,030. So only 20 pieces or so get rejected. You understand? Because it's important that we don't ship less. You can ship a little bit more, but don't ship less. So all the stores that they have planned for get all the goods in the right ratios, right? All the sizes are given to all the stores.
Correct.
If you have a shortage, then certain stores might not get certain sizes. So you always cut slightly more, and out of that, you're allowed to ship a certain percentage, and they pay you for it.
So while, we've also seen in certain markets where there would be big brand products being sold at like a steep discount, and someone who's kind of like an aggregator from different factories of, say, what they call export surplus. What is the regulation around it? Because a number of times we've heard a lot of the shipment is actually coming from a Bangladesh, and someone would buy like an entire, I don't know, you can't call it a container, maybe like truck full of different brands, assorted material, and then they would sell it at a deep discount. Is that something which is allowed by brands, or you think all of that is happening?
So normally, again, from brand to brand it differs, but most of the brands don't allow you to sell their leftover pieces
in the secondary market
for like 6 months or a year.
Oh,
right.
So because if you produce extra, only
you have
as
to
a
stock
sample,
it up in your factory.
Okay.
Right.
And then you can release it after some time.
You can release it, but again, there are certain brands that have nominated certain agents that only you can sell to. You cannot sell to the local market. You can only sell to their local agents. So that probably goes to their outlet stores, and they sell at a discount a season later.
Okay.
And then certain brands say that you can sell to the local market, but you must cut our labels, because then you have to remove the branding completely.
Okay.
Right? But you can't sell in that season, because in that season they are selling it in their stores.
Correct.
So that product cannot be found being sold in another store down the road. So and you don't know whoever you're supplying to, where are they further supplying to. So because of that, you have to hold on to the garments, and then depending on the brand's policy, you can either sell it in the local market by cutting the labels, or you can give it to the nominated person, nominated agent with the labels, who will sell it to the outlet.
Okay, but from a quality perspective, those garments are not supposed to be like substandard in any way, or is it grading perspective?
They could be. They could be.
So typically, how does that secondary market operate today? Do you think there is a business opportunity for someone to come in there?
Yes, there's a big business opportunity there.
So how?
A lot of people come to us. They buy stock surplus fabrics from us. And they even come and they ask us what surplus fabrics we have left over that they can convert into finished goods.
Okay.
And then they export those goods to markets like the Middle East, where they're able to get good prices. from wholesalers and even retailers.
But those are non-branded
Yeah,
products
we,
then.
we put their brand labels.
Okay.
Yeah, because we're not allowed to sell stock with the labels of the brands that we are working with, unless or until we sell into their nominated agents.
Okay. So you would say there is an opportunity in a lot of smaller guys actually going to manufacturers like you,
Yeah,
collating your unsold raw material in the form of fabric,
yes,
certain accessories,
right,
putting together something from it,
Yes.
because then they optimize on the raw material cost
correct.
and then cater to a market in the Middle East.
Exporting it, getting incentive on it from the government, and getting a higher FOB from the brand that they are supplying to as well. So that's a good business actually.
So instead of focusing on your Zaras and Marks and Spencers and Nexts and all, might as well go for the second tier and create this opportunity.
Yeah, because I mean, if we sell our leftover fabrics in the to the
Secondary
local
market
secondary market, it goes for scrap, right? So this way, even we get a better price for our fabric, and they get a ready-made garment utilizing our leftover accessories and our fabrics, and yeah, so that's
Oh, wow, I
that's
didn't know
actually a good model for downtime. So when it's not our peak, when it's downtime production time, so that's when we tend to make all our stock surplus.
Got it. So imagine you have a dream client, which could be an Inditex, which is a house of brands and it has so many brands. And would you say that pitch to Inditex and they take it upon themselves to see where your designs would fit in which sub brand? Or you have to be sub brand specific and then you work backwards to say that, okay, let me try and get the brand book of, say, like a Massimo Dutti.
Yeah.
And see what is it that they stand for, what is it that they would like, and then start pitching something that.
Correct. So I mean, Inditex also has 6-7 brands, right? And every brand also specializes in a certain age group. Right? Like a Pull and Bear will cater to a teens age group.
Correct.
Zara would cater to a slightly more older. Massimo Dutti would be even older.
Correct.
So you can't you have to your design like a teen clothing would look different than a slightly older woman's clothing, right? So you have to design as per the brand that you aspire to work with,
Okay.
And yeah.
So do they give you any instructions on these are designs that we're looking at, which is, say, open information in the market that anyone can access?
So they normally share their trend boards, their mood boards
Okay.
with us because we're already working together.
So it's
but
more like an internal document.
yes,
It's not publicly
you
available.
have to be onboarded with a brand. So the onboarding process happens before you start working. They come and they do your social audit, your technical audit. You have to get those approved, and then you start working with the brand. And once you're onboarded as a supplier, you get your supplier unique supplier number. Only then they start sharing information with you. Otherwise, the information is very, very confidential, and we are not allowed to share one brand's mood boards with another.
Okay.
In fact, when we have customers visit us, we can't even show what we are doing for other brands if it's not been shipped. If it's been shipped, then you can show.
Then it's okay.
Because those products are anyways in the stores.
Okay. So would you recommend someone who does not have access to this information, should they look at maybe what's happening with the WGSN? Should they look at what's happening with Pantone and all these design agencies when they do fashion forecasting and they release reports, and maybe at times you have to buy like a subscription which might cost you maybe a couple of $100 for the year? Do you think it's worth it? It's a good start, or it doesn't help because that information becomes a commodity where if Pantone has said Mocha Mousse is going to be the color of the year for 2025, now that it's public information, everyone might be doing it and you really need to differentiate in some other way.
So I think you have to look at the cost involved. Like some of these subscriptions could be very, very costly. They can go up in thousands of dollars. So you got to look at the cost factor. And I think a lot of the information is available on the web, and with artificial intelligence, a lot of the information you can get for free. So I'm not a very big believer that you need to spend all this money to be able to get all the information. I think exposure really is key. So visiting stores, traveling a lot, that really gives you a lot of exposure. And then the brands that we work with, they also send us their mood boards, their trend boards, which is a great way to, understand what really is going to be in trend. then every brand is different, right? So, so
Correct.
that gives you an overall good
Yeah.
picture as to
So
what's
what I'm
trending.
hearing is more exposure about understanding what is the brand ideology and what they stand for different, and
Yes,
seeing
yes. I think rather
where
than
your work can kind
I
of
think
fit.
rather than thinking what's going to be in trend, you should try and understand your customer
Correct.
and try and give your customer what they are looking for. That is key.
So do you think when Indian factories essentially serve international customers, do you see a lot more concentration of buyers in the US or in Europe or in some other part of the world purely based on what we specialize on? And maybe a market is also untapped and kind of like a white space.
In terms of the market which you asked me, territory which is untapped, I would say it would be Latin America. And the reason behind that is that they are big manufacturers themselves. They have a lot of factories in Latin America. There's a lot of domestic productions that happen there. And they have very high tariffs on Indian goods and goods from elsewhere.
Correct.
Because kind of protecting their own domestic manufacturing. So I think Latin America is
And
is
also
a
for them
market.
to ship to the US is much cheaper from a time and costing perspective. So
Yes, yes.
all right. So far we've covered your costing. We've spoken about consumer trends across the world.
Yeah.
We've spoken about how different markets have different specialization, how to get your first buyer, how you got Zara to begin with. Now, do any of these brands that you start working with, purely from an intellectual property protection perspective, do they stop you from working with any other competing brands? Does that happen, or
It doesn't
not as much
happen.
today?
It doesn't happen very regularly, but it has happened in the past. I wouldn't want to name the brand, but one time this very well-reputed brand had issued a statement that if you work with so and so brand, then we will not work with you. And we realized there were only 2 factories in the world that work with both of those brands, and we were one of them.
Really?
There's one in China and there was one in India. We were the one, and we had to unfortunately end our relationship with
the other?
that brand, because the brand that came out with this statement was a giant, and it was one of our biggest customers, and we couldn't disappoint them. But it's only happened once in the last 25 years that I've been in business.
But do you at any point feel like there's a lot of concentration risk to one buyer? Does that continue for the India market?
So that's always very risky.
Like, do you feel that even today, or do you feel now
concentration on one buyer?
Yeah, no buyer has more than 20% of my sales.
So ideally, it should not be more than 15%, if you ask me. No buyer should be
And
more than 15%.
Are you within that benchmark?
No, we have certain buyers who are even higher, who
Yeah.
are 20%. I
Yeah.
think highest should be 20%. But yeah, that's not ideal. Ideally, it should be between 10 and 15%.
Okay. So any IP protection clauses that you have to sign or be careful about, or in fashion, because everything's out in the open so quickly, and because of fast fashion, literally your lead times are, they won't leave you with too much time, right? Like they'll give you a design, you'll produce, you'll ship it out. Do you feel that IP is becoming more a thing of the past in fashion?
No, copyright is very, very important.
Okay. And who owns the copyright? It's the brand.
Yes. It's if we supply a certain garment, even if it's our design, we supply it to a certain brand, we have to make sure that that same design is not supplied to another brand.
Okay, so when you make designs, essentially what you're doing is you're selling exclusive or non-exclusive licenses to your design to different brands. And if one picks a brand, do they say we want an exclusive or a non-exclusive license?
No,
and does that
they don't say
change?
that. They don't say that.
But is that understood?
It's understood, yeah. Because
Okay, so the moment you've pitched a design which is yours and one agrees to buy it, you cannot pitch the same design.
We have to protect the interest of our customer.
Okay.
Right?
So you'll tweak it a bit.
If we are supplying to 5 brands, let's say in UK, right? And if I sell one brand a certain product, and if I sell the second brand also the same product, then how does the brand differentiate from the other, right? And then what will happen is that if you supply to one brand a certain product, and you supply to the second brand the same product, the first brand will sue the second brand for copyright, and then the second brand will end up suing the supplier who sold to both.
Oh.
So you will end up in trouble. You will end up in lawsuits. So and then also.
So I'm assuming they take a declaration from you that whatever design you're giving them, you will not
It's
Or it's
understood. It's
understood?
understood. It's understood. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. I think agreements are more to do with financials and returns and quality and all that.
Okay.
It might be mentioned in some of the fine print. I mean, honestly, I've not.
but now it's
read it.
understood
But
because
it's-
that mature
it's-
in industry, you
it's-
wouldn't mess with
yeah,
that.
Yeah, it's understood. I mean, if you are working with, different brands that supply in the same region, then you have to protect the interest.
So how would you change designs? For example, if you feel denim wear for kids is suddenly in vogue, and there are certain kind of sleeveless dresses that young girls would love to wear, which has some flower embroidery on top of it. Do you change the colors on the flowers, or would you change the density of the flowers?
It has to visually look completely different.
Okay.
So even if it's the same shape and it's the same embroidery design, only the color is different, visually it will still look the same. So unless or until it's a generic design, like a blue shirt is a blue shirt,
Correct.
But I think that's why that way menswear is a lot safer.
Correct.
As compared to fashion category like
But then
women's wear.
margins in menswear would again be slimmer because you are not really able to differentiate.
Yes.
Understood.
Yeah.
Another question from a financial perspective that occurs to me is, imagine in this business, very similar to yours, someone is doing about 100 crores of net sales in a year. Do you think there is a certain amount which always is blocked in working capital, in receivables and inventory?
Yeah.
Is that a percentage of sales, and how are you thinking through it? Is it linked to how many months of inventory is always blocked in raw material, in finished goods and in receivables? Any benchmarks around that?
So normally inventory, I would say our average lead times are I would say about 90 days.
Lead time to sell to customer and recover the money.
Yeah, from the day we get the order to ship is roughly about 90 days, and then
So 90 days of production time.
to get to source all the materials, to get all the approvals, to manufacture. That average time I would say roughly be about 80 to 90 days.
Okay.
And then once the goods are shipped out, normally we get our payments between 30 to 90 days.
And once you ship,
depending.
the average time to get there is about 15 to
No,
21
it's
days?
higher now. It's higher
Okay.
now because of the Red Sea issue. So goods are going around Cape of Good Hope.
Yeah.
So which is taking another 2 weeks, I would say.
So about
maybe
30 to 45?
about five weeks.
Yeah.
Earlier the shipping time was about 3 weeks. Now it's taking about 5 weeks.
Okay.
So and then we have normally with the banks we have factoring facilities where once the goods ship out, we are able to discount our bills
Correct.
and get our payment. Yeah. So
Okay.
so roughly I would say.
So 90 days of just building inventory and manufacturing,
Yes,
another
and another 30 days.
another
on average.
30 days on an average.
So 120 days, I would say.
Oh, that's a long period actually.
Yeah.
So I would assume 120 days of sale would make about, at 100 crore, that would be about 25 crore. When you go to say cost of goods sold at 30%, that would be close to 8 to 10 crores of working capital on 100 crore.
Correct.
Yeah, so you'd say about 10% is what would be of your revenue is blocked in working capital.
Absolutely. So if you're a 100 crore business, then at any given point of time, your outstanding with the customers will be roughly about 10 crores.
Wow, that's a substantial sum for a low margin.
Yes, and unfortunately, the interest rates in India are also not the most competitive.
Yeah.
And that's another reason why China and Bangladesh have done so well, because they get subsidized interest rates.
Correct.
Our rates could be even 3 times compared to them at the rate that we borrow money from our banks. Apart from the duty benefits that they've enjoyed, Bangladesh has enjoyed, the low labor costs they've enjoyed,
Correct.
And that is why, I've always felt that it's not a level playing field, and we've always had a disadvantage just because we are located in India. And that is also one of the reasons, we have to constantly innovate to be able to sustain that business, rather than just, depending on buyers to send us packs that we develop and convert into orders,
Sure.
which increases our overheads as well. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you. I think this has been fabulously insightful. Thank you for taking us through your entire factory. We've not seen all of them, but we saw this one, which is very beautiful. And we are taking a lot of inspiration from this. And hopefully, as India grows, we'll see a lot more manufacturing in India, and we hope for India to have a lot more such factories and you to have a lot more such factories. So thank you for making the time.
Thank you. The pleasure is all mine. It's been a pleasure, and I hope it's useful and we can inspire the youth.
This was Bharat's factory in Noida, and there are garment hubs all over the country, from Tirupur to Ludhiana to Jaipur. Stick around because I'll take you into more such factories across industries in the upcoming episodes of Founder's Office with Sarthak Ahuja.